So let's make a start with our header component. And what we'll do is, in fact, before we do this, I'm just going to clean up any unused imports in our activity details page. So I can remove the link as well from here. And I can also remove the history as well. And what we want to do is we want to pass our activity down to our activity detailed header. But first of all, let's go to this component. And what we're going to do is add some JSX inside here, but it's not particularly complicated to write, but there is enough of it to make it boring to watch me type it and you to copy along. And what I've provided for components like this, where we just want to style a component, we want to add a lot of semantic UI components, I've just provided snippets to save ourselves a bit of typing and a bit of time. And what we can use for our activity detailed header is s_9.6.1, and this will give us our JSX or our semantic UI components that are going to make up the styling for our header. Now we need to bring in various things from semantic UI React, and what we can do is bring in our imports for this. Now they say you learn something new every day, and I didn't realize that Visual Studio Code had the ability to bring in all missing imports, and I've just noticed on this quick fix menu that we've got the option to add all missing imports. So I'm going to give this a go. And that worked pretty well. The only thing it couldn't import, possibly because there's more than one image, is we'll need to bring this one in manually, so I'm just going to add the image, but that's saved us quite a bit of time. That must be a relatively new addition to VS Code, because I can't remember seeing that recently. So let's see what we have going on in here before we take a look. We've got a segment group that contains different segments, and this particular segment, we've removed the padding in the styling, and we've added an image which is going to be our placeholder image, and it's fluid, so it takes up all the available content that it has access to. And then inside this segment we have another segment, and this contains an item group with a header, and it's going to contain some data about our activity. It's going to contain the title, the dates, and who the activity is hosted by. Now we still don't have any users in our application, so this will just be static text for the time being. And then what we have underneath this is some buttons which will allow the user to join an activity, cancel their attendance, or manage an event. And if we go and take a look at how this is looking on the page, well, we can see that we've got our placeholder image, and our segments are not quite lined up correctly at this moment. We want this content, and our title is hidden because we've got the color of this as white, but we want to move this up above our image. And we also want to dim this image as well, so that our text, when we style it, which is going to be white, stands out from this particular image. So let's head back to VS Code, and just above our activity detailed header, I also have another snippet for this particular lesson, which is going to give us some styling. So I'm just going to say s9.6.2, which is going to be our activity detailed header styles. And there's not much going on in here, but the snippet is just to save us a bit of typing, because this is just CSS and it's pretty straightforward. We're just going to reduce the brightness of our image by 30%, or set it to 30% in this case. And we'll add this particular style to our image. And if I just go to our image here, what we can do is just say style equals, and because this is an object, we can literally just put this inside our style in here. And if we go and take a look, we'll see that our image is now a lot darker. The other style we've got for the activity image text style, we're going to position this absolutely, because we want to position this on top of our image here. So what we want to do is move this entire segment up and over our image, and we can do that by positioning the segment absolutely and then telling it where to be positioned. And then we're also given the text a color of white. And we'll add this particular style to our segment, and we'll say activity image text style. And if we go take a look, well, we can see that's not quite what we're looking for. We've got the positioning, but because we're using a segment, This provides some padding, margin, and also a background color for the segment itself. So what we want to do is remove this default styling, and we can do that by making it a basic segment. And this has no special formatting, and if we go back and take a look, we can see now that we've got our header text positioned and displayed over our image. All we want to do now is bring our actual activity into our activity detailed header. So in our activity details, let's pass down our activity as a prop to our activity detailed header, and then we'll go to our activity detailed header and we'll make this a React functional component. And what we'll do, rather than creating an interface, is we'll just add the typings directly into this type as an object, and we can say activity is a type of iActivity, and then we can destructure the activity into our props here. And then it's just a case of adding our properties into each of the placeholders. So our placeholder image, will replace this with category images / $activity.category and .jpg. And then we need to change the title to the activity.title, and the date will say activity.date. And that's all we need to do inside here. The buttons aren't going to have any functionality for a while, and we'll go take a look and we can see that we're getting our activity properties populated in the header. And the only other thing we need to do is, because we're reading our activity from the store, and even though we're not using the activity store directly in this component, we still need to make it an observer so that it observes any changes to our activity object. So down at the bottom, I'm just going to say export default observer, and then wrap this around our activity detailed header, and this is still working fine. What we'll take a look at next is the activity detailed info.